welcome to The Explainer. Today we are getting into something huge. We're going to tackle this massive question. Why is it that our modern chase for happiness so often just leaves us feeling, well, empty? We're going to dig into a really fascinating theory that says the answer is buried in a huge cultural shift that happened a long, long time ago. All right, so let's just dive right in with a feeling that I bet you know exactly what I'm talking about. You ever feel like chasing happiness is like being on a treadmill? You're running, you're putting in the effort, but you're not actually getting anywhere. That feeling right there, that's the puzzle we're trying to piece together today. Okay, so to even begin to get a handle on this, we've got to draw a really clear line in the sand between two words we throw around all the time: pleasure and joy. See, pleasure, that's the quick hit, right? It's that sugar rush that feels great for a second, but always leaves you wanting more. It's pretty self-centered. But joy, now joy is different. That's the deep stuff. It's about sustained fulfillment, that feeling of inner calm. It's what connects us to something bigger. And get this, it's good for the person giving it and the person receiving it. And look, this isn't just some abstract philosophical idea. Modern psychology actually backs this up. The source material uses this great analogy. Pleasure is like a sugary snack. You get that quick, intense burst, but then it's gone. Happiness or joy, though? That's like the deep, sustained nourishment you get from a truly fulfilling life, filled with meaningful work and real relationships. So this all begs a really important question. If the argument is that older, pre-modern societies were more attuned into these life-fulfilling activities, then how on earth did we get here? What happened? How did Western culture, which has spread its influence all over the globe, make this massive pivot toward constantly chasing pleasure? Well, to get to the bottom of that, the authors suggest we need to look at the very institutions that shape our values. We're going to compare three totally different cultural settings to see exactly where things started to go in a different direction. And this table just lays it out so clearly. You've got what the author calls primitive or early societies, where the main goal was all about connecting with the community and the spirits, and that was woven into everyday life. Then you look at Eastern traditions, like Buddhism, where the goal is enlightenment, getting rid of suffering by working on yourself, your own actions. But then, look at the Western Judeo-Christian model. The goal is salvation. And how do you get there? Through formalized, institutional worship. See that difference? That right there. That's the key to this whole thing. All right, so let's dig into how that one little difference, that focus on formalized worship, ended up creating this massive fork in the road for Western culture. So here it is, the big distinction. The focus totally shifted to the act of worship itself. Think about it. In a lot of other traditions, your spiritual practice is just your life. It's how you live every day. But the argument here is that the West started to zero in on the structured, almost performative act of worship as the be-all and end-all of your spiritual life. And according to the author, this specific interpretation from the Bible was a huge turning point. The idea that you're justified by faith alone, well, that started to be understood as, hey, as long as you adhere to the church's rules and show up for the rituals, you're good. And that dramatically shifted the focus away from what you as an individual were actually doing every day. And boy, did that idea have some major consequences. Suddenly, fulfilling your spiritual duty was less about being a good person and more about just performing the correct rituals. All that other stuff, how you treat people, how you handle your own greed or anger, that all got pushed to the side. It became secondary. Your everyday life and your spiritual scorecard were now two separate things. And here's the kicker. This separation created a kind of vacuum. I mean, think about it. If your daily actions don't really count toward your salvation or fulfillment anymore, then what's stopping you from doing whatever you want? The author argues that this void was filled by a rush to pursue self-centered pleasure, because now it could just flourish without any real spiritual consequences. Okay, so that's a pretty bleak picture of how we got here. But if that's the problem, is there a solution? How do we get back on a path to real, genuine joy and fulfillment? Well, the author offers up a totally different vision of what this could look like, pulling from a spiritual text from the 20th century called the Grail Message. And it says something pretty powerful, that real worship isn't about murmured prayers or going through the motions in a ceremony. It's about joyful activity. It's about a full-throated, vibrant yes to life on earth and enjoying every single moment.
So let's break that down. It's actually a pretty practical way of looking at things. Step one, your worship is joyful activity. It's a whole mindset of celebrating life and making every moment count. But, and this is a big but, it's not just about doing whatever feels good. This perspective says that for it to really work, your actions have to align with the natural or divine laws of creation. Basically, what you do should be constructive. It should be harmonious. It should lift up not just you, but everything and everyone around you. And this next quote just slams the point home. The purest worship of God lies in deeds alone. It's not something you set aside an hour for on a Sunday. It's not separate from the rest of your week. According to this way of thinking, your worship is your life. It's the grand total of everything you do. And there's a warning here too. A big one. When worship becomes just a routine, it gets dangerous. The focus can shift away from real spiritual growth and turn into, power struggles and just empty, meaningless rituals. The argument is that people get trapped in these routines, and it actually ends up blocking the very spontaneous joy that's supposed to be the whole point of a spiritual life in the first place. All right, let's tie a bow on all of this. What's the big takeaway? How do we find that genuine, lasting happiness that we were looking for at the very beginning?
This comparison just lays it all out, doesn't it? On one side, you have the old model, worship as this passive, separate thing you do, all focused on belief. But on the other side, you have this proposed model. Worship is active. It's woven into every part of your life, and the focus is on joyful deeds and finding real fulfillment through what you do. And that really brings us to the core of it all. The ultimate message here is that true, lasting joy, it's not found in what you believe. It's found in the joyful deeds you perform. It's about the positive ripples you send out into the world. Your fulfillment, your happiness, is directly tied to your actions.
So that leaves us with one final, very simple, but really powerful question to think about. This isn't about some grand plan or changing everything about yourself overnight. It's much simpler. It's just this. What is one joyful action, no matter how small, that you're going